Number one on TV, now coming to digital. Republic on digital this July.
Republic TV number one on television, now soon on digital this July.
Republic number one on TV, now soon on digital this July.
Republic has been number one for the last 6 years, and in these 6 years you've loved us, you've supported us, you've stood by us, and we at Republic have broken the biggest news stories. We've set the nation's news agenda, and now we are ready for the big disruption on digital. Yes, so that you don't miss a moment of what's going on in the country and around the world. Republic on digital this July. Republic is number one on television, now soon on digital this July.
Republic TV has been number one on television for the past 6 years. We broke the biggest stories and reported from where it mattered. We disrupted broadcast news television in India, and now we are all set to go digital. Republic on digital this July.
For the last 6 years, Republic TV has been the number one channel on TV. On television, day after day, night after night, you, the viewer, have been coming back to us for our investigative reports, our reportage from different parts of the country and the world, our opinions on TV that make us number one. And through our struggles and through everything that we've done to be the number one channel on TV, it's now time for digital. Republic on digital this July.
Republic has been number one on TV for the last 6 years. In these 6 years, you've given us all your love that has only propelled us to grow more. We've reported in the most challenging circumstances from the most remote locations. And now it's time for digital. Republic on digital this July.
Number one on TV, now soon on digital. Republic on digital this July.
Ever since we launched in 2017, we've been India's number one news channel, and then we became India's number one news network. Today we operate the number one channels in English, in Hindi and in Bangla, and we're going to expand across India and hopefully very soon to the entire world. Now this journey cannot be complete without us entering the digital news medium in a stronger, effective and well-planned way. And I'm delighted to share with you, with all of you, our support base, our viewers, our followers and people who are really part of Republic, that yes, Republic, India's number one on television, is now coming on digital. This July, Republic will be on digital.
Republic TV has been number one for the last 6 years. We've reported some of the biggest stories, stories that matter. We have changed the face.
Burning Question powered by Samsung Fridge, Sharda University and NECC.
Political violence, uncontested victories, bombs, rigging, deaths. All this, remember, is synonymous today with the kind of politics that you're seeing in West Bengal. And not that it's happened right away. It's been on for the last many decades. Whether it was a left rule versus a Trinamool's rule, nothing much has changed. But who today is responsible for the violence that you're seeing being unleashed in the state of Bengal in just the run-up to the big panchayat polls? And that's the reason why that's going to be a burning question in just a moment. I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. Let's get kick-started this edition of the debate with the headlines first up. Farmer unions hold a protest march. They block the Haryana-Delhi highway over the MSP. "24 hours after the wrestlers joined the farmers, the protesters led by Rakesh Tiket now are holding Delhi to ransom."
उस बंगाल में जहां ममता दीदी की सरकार हो, वो बंगाल जल रहा है, साथ ही जल रही है बंगाल की अस्मिता, बंगाल की पहचान, बंगाल की शान, बंगाल का नाम, और जलाने का काम कर रहा है ममता दीदी और उनके वहां के लोग।
Anurag Thakur says Bengal is burning. It's a major face-off on the Bengal Panchayat poll violence. The BJP slams Mamata, the TMC obviously wanting to downplay what's going on. Another big controversy that's brewing in Bengal, this is over the OBC community's list. The NCBC is alleging complete imbalance and a tilt towards Muslims in the list. Who's trying to appease? The NI releasing the CCTV footage of the Khalistani attack on India's High Commission in London, and they want information now on who possibly were these attackers. More Aurangzeb posts come up. The police is making fresh arrests in Maharashtra. The question we continue to ask, who really is wanting to provoke on the issue of Aurangzeb?
औरंगजेब की फोटो उठाया तो मुझसे किसी मीडिया के लोगों ने पूछा कि इस पर तबसरा करिए। मैं बिल्कुल तबसरा करने तैयार हूं, मगर आप इसको ऑथेंटिकेट कर दो कि ये औरंगजेब की फोटो है।
The Prime Minister holds a review meet. The IMD issues an orange alert for Gujarat. About 56 trains are cancelled. Ladies and gentlemen, the year was 2003, exactly about 20 years ago. Do you know how many people lost their lives in the pre-poll violence and the violence during the Panchayat elections? 70 plus. What has changed in the last 20 years? Not much. This figure might have come down a little bit, but the issue continues to remain about the unabated political violence that West Bengal and its politics today has completely become synonymous with. Now in 2018, the last Panchayat election that we are talking about, this is an election that the TMC swept. Now why is a Panchayat election important? Because this clearly tells you that how strong is your connect with the grassroots worker, with the grassroots that's going to be voting for you in an assembly election, later also in a Lok Sabha election. Mamata Banerjee sweeps this election. But look at what also happened on the polling day. 13 people lose their lives. 50 plus are injured. There is widespread violence. There is bomb attack. Booths are captured. There are allegations of rigging. And to top this all, 34% of the seats that were won by Trinamool were actually uncontested. This means that there was no one in the opposition to the Trinamool. Now, why did that happen? There were allegations raised against the ruling Trinamool Congress, being led by Mamata Banerjee, that there was so much violence, there was so much rigging, there was so much fear that no opposition party could even come and fill their nomination forms. Now, 2018 definitely is not 2023. Things have changed. Things are changing. But in the run-up to the big Panchayat polls that are just around the corner in the month of July, what has happened? We are seeing a redux of similar episodes. There are strong allegations being raised this time by the BJP. Not just the BJP that is based in the state of West Bengal, but the IMB minister here at the center says, and watch very carefully to what he says. He says Bengal is burning. He says Bengal is burning, there is massive corruption, there are allegations of rigging, and this is not going to be a free and fair poll come the 8th of July when the Panchayat poll will really take place. How has the Trinamool Congress responded to these very, very grave charges? There is a TMC MP, his name is Saugata Roy. When asked about this pre-poll violence in his state, he says, so what? Why are you, as in the media, wanting to overplay this? He says only one person has lost his life. You should not overplay this story. So does this mean that more people need to die for the Trinamool to accept that there is pre-poll violence in the state of West Bengal and they have a possible direct link to this? Who today is responsible for what's going on in the state of West Bengal? And can there be free and fair polls in a situation like this? That's got to be a burning question. Before I introduce our panel of guests, let's quickly run you through all the action, the reactions that we've got so far, and then we debate.
5 days and at least 6 cases of violence. Just days ahead of the Panchayat polls, West Bengal is burning. This as violence mars nomination process for the Panchayat polls. At Barsol in East Burdwan district, CPM workers were stopped allegedly by activists of the ruling TMC. Soon violent clashes broke out, leaving workers from both parties injured. But for the TMC, it wasn't large-scale violence.
No, this violence is being overplayed by the media. So far, one person only has died. And few cases of clashes have taken place. It's not large-scale violence as is being made out. That's not right.
The BJP came down heavily on West Bengal government's high-handedness.
बंगाल में जहां ममता दीदी की सरकार हो, वो बंगाल जल रहा है, साथ ही जल रही है बंगाल की अस्मिता, बंगाल की पहचान, बंगाल की शान, बंगाल का नाम, और जलाने का काम कर रहा है ममता दीदी और उनके वहां के लोग.
So who's provoking Bengal? That's the burning question tonight. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And it's definitely not every day, remember, that you're talking of a panchayat election on a national channel. But why is this story important? Like I said, because the story has a history. The history that happened in 2003, the history that was repeated in 2018, what has changed in the last many years. I will say good evening to Priyanka Tibrewal, the spokesperson of the BJP. With us, Biswajit Deb is a spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. It's really good to have Jayanta Ghoshal back with us. He is a senior journalist and he has some very strong opinions again on the entire issue. Jayanta, good to have you on the show. Along with Shikha Mukherjee, is also a senior journalist joining us. And before I come to both the journalists on the panel, let's quickly unravel the politics of this. Biswajit Devji, you're a spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress, very senior. Now tell me something, when Saugata Roy of the Trinamool says the media is overplaying the story, so what? Just one person has died. There have been little instances of violence. Why are you going so all out against Mamata Banerjee? What kind of a response is that? How many people must die for the Trinamool to accept that this is a serious blot on your rule?
I would first of all like to react and give my response to what Mr. Anurag Thakur has said. Now, Mr. Thakur should understand what he said in the year 2020, 31st January 2020, against the protesters of CAA. The very statement, his very statement
That's
was...
not the debate right now. Biswajit Dev, the very fact that the first sentence of your entire debate here has to be directed at sidestepping a direct question tells me that you're on a weak wicket.
A central minister...
Forget about Anurag Thakur right now. We are not debating what Anurag Thakur has said. I am just asking you, as a Trinamool Congress, you are ruling the state of Bengal for the last 3 terms, sir.
You opened the debate.
For the last 3 terms. Such images, do they not bring a shame to you? Don't you feel ashamed looking at all this?
And now he is criticizing Bengal. He is criticizing
Bengal. But who's ruling West Bengal right now? Is it not the Trinamool Congress? Is it not Mamata Banerjee as the Home Minister?
The organizational capacity. Now will you let me say? Will you let me say or will you continue? BJP doesn't have the organizational capacity to contest 80,000 seats. The Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti and Jila Parishad together is almost 80,000 seats. They don't have the capacity.
No, sir,
That is
73.
why they are
Correct
trying
yourself.
to. They are trying to spread violence.
No, but
They are
that
provoking.
can't be a
They are
justification for
provoking
violence. No, Mr.
They
Deb.
are instigating their workers.
Is that a justification
no.
for violence?
You try to understand what I am saying. I am saying that TMC is not responsible. It is BJP. It is the BJP who is deliberately trying to spread violence, because the reason is they have understood that they will fail. They will again fail miserably. They
So
will again
BJP is
fail
stoking
miserably
this
in
fire.
the people's
The
court.
BJP is stoking
And
the
that is why
fire,
they are
Priyanka.
resorting to violence. Yes.
And today the pot is calling the kettle black, is what
they
Mr.
wanted
Dev
Central
says.
Force. The Central
Are you
Force was
equally
there.
guilty of
and
creating
they were
this
thrown out
situation
of
West
the
Bengal,
gentleman
Priyanka,
didn't
as
give
what
you the
the
answer.
Trinamool is alleging?
Yeah, I got you very straight. I have answers one by one, so I will not waste your time like he did. So the gentleman didn't have answers, so he wasn't answering. Now you see, violence, murder, people not allowed to vote, intimidation, appeasement for a particular community. All these are the traits and characteristics of the TMC government here. Now my friend Mr. Bishwajit here was saying that the opponents or the opposition, they do not have people so that we can contest in the following seats. But we have people here under their state where it is their police, their administration that we are provoking people. And they are doing nothing. They are helpless. So I really pity him for being such a government who cannot control violence, which is being spread according to him by the opposition. Now, see, there are irrefutable evidences which will speak for itself that any kind of unrest in the state of West Bengal, it is the TMC government which is responsible behind this, whether it was the Ram Navami procession, whether it was the post-poll violence, whether it was the violence of 2018, where more than 100 people lost their life, but the chief minister kept quiet, kept mum, she didn't utter a single word. Now, people losing their lives, booths being captured, people being attacked, the TMC government doesn't stop there. Females are being raped after the election results are announced. See, very proudly, he will say that it is every time that we win. 2021 we won, 2018 we won.
75%. 75 to 80% of these allegations are false allegations.
Which was witnessed
75 to 80% of the allegations
were being
were
raped,
false
the houses
allegations.
were looted
And
and
again,
set ablaze.
what you are doing
People
before the
were made
panchayat,
to leave
it is
their
just
home
a
for 2
repetition
years
of
until
what
they
you
were
said
pulled by the
after
judiciary. They were pulled by
2021.
the High Court.
That is exactly
See,
what is
everyone
happening.
knows about the
You
fame
are-
Mamata Banerjee has
you
earned in
are
11 years.
again
She is a woman
anticipating-
who the entire
anticipating
India knows
a
as a woman
miserable
who is sitting
failure.
and doing only
You are
violence in West
anticipating
Bengal as a
that
chief
you
minister.
will again
She was
be-
pulled by the
you will again
NHRC.
be
She was
finished
pulled by
in
the National
People's Court.
Commission.
You will be
She was
finished
pulled by the
politically
National
in the
Commission, the
People's
National
Court.
Human Rights
You have
Commission,
understood
the
that,
Women in Child
and that is
Commission.
why-
What is
and
happening
exactly
here?
that is
Women's
why
being raped,
you
houses
are
being looted.
repeatedly
And
trying to spread violence.
see, this is
You
what
bring
we see.
Central
What
Force.
what kind
happened?
of arrogance
What
these
happened
people
in
have
2021?
that for
For the
them,
moment,
I
only
just
winning
want both
election
Priyanka
matters.
and Mr.
Life
Dev
of
to
people
pull back.
doesn't matter.
BJP
That's
was
the
thrown
reason
away
that
from
we
power.
have
See,
to
this
go
is
to
what
the
happens
judiciary
when there
for
is
each and
no clear
everything.
accountability.
And today
There is
also,
only
what
much
did we do?
singing
Force.
right
We are
now.
just asking
But
the
Mr.
judiciary
Dev, because the Trinamool
But
has
the
been
people-
ruling the state
but
of
the
West
people's
Bengal for the
support
last 3
is
terms,
for
sir,
Mamata
there are
Banerjee.
serious
They
questions
are
today being
responsible
asked.
about the
If
law and order, they should
34%
answer.
of the seats are won uncontested, isn't that also a blot on democracy? Is that a healthy democracy that you allow to, prosper in the
Ask
state of West
BJP.
Bengal?
80% of the seats, 80% of the seats in Tripura was uncontested. It was
And Mr.
uncontested by
Bishwajit Dev,
BJP.
you are sitting in West
Tripura,
Bengal.
80%
Panchayat
of the
elections
seats.
are here in
Ask
West
them.
Bengal. Why
Please
are
ask
you
them.
so scared to speak
No,
about
no,
West
no.
Bengal?
You're
When
looking
you
for
are
alibis,
listening to
Mr.
Tripura,
Dev,
when
and
you
this
are
will
listening
happen
to
because you
Tripura,
clearly, I
it
think,
is
today
Bengal.
are
under a
You
better
are ruling
government.
okay.
Tripura.
You don't have answers,
You
which
are
is
ruling
okay,
Tripura.
which is okay.
You
But
accept the ground
there should be
reality.
some bit of
You accept the
realization
ground
on our
reality.
political parties
You
today.
accept the ground
Mamata
reality.
Banerjee is going to be
80%
heading to Patna for a
of
big
the seats
opposition
were
meeting.
uncontested in
She
Tripura.
obviously dreams to be the next prime minister, nothing less. And in a state like West Bengal, where you're looking at this, targeted political violence and a redux of it, Jayantoda, almost in every panchayat election. How serious and worrying is this? Because, voters today, when they look at these images, will say, oh God, are they going to be really free and fair elections?
Dipti, you are a very senior journalist, and I know that you are also witness of several elections in West Bengal. And at the outset, I must say that nobody can support violence in election, especially in West Bengal. I'm sorry to say that when Advani was Home Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, there was an IG conference. I don't want to go to the history, but the best boy on political violence that time, it was West Bengal. Not caste violence, not communal violence, but the political, on the so far political violence is concerned, West Bengal was topper. Later, I'm a non-resident Bengali based in Delhi for 40 years. Sushil Sindhe became Home Minister. Again, the same report. So the tradition of political violence, and especially in Panchayat election, is on. And law and order is the state subject. I'm not saying, as your subject is that whether who is instigating. The Agatha Christie's story says that who is the beneficiary of the murder? The political violence, who is the beneficiary? BJP or TMC? In Bangladesh, Khaleda is issuing, BNP is issuing more on the violence than Awami League. Because the ruling party, it is not, they cannot be beneficiary of violence because they want to hide the violence. They want to downplay the people violence as you are giving the headline. You know, this political violence in West Bengal is a pathetic, and whether it's a one man died or it is, as you said, 2003, 70 persons died, that quantity is not the issue. But you know, the lumpen proletariats and the hooligans of CPM, they joined TMC and they are the labor force of electoral victory. This is very unfortunate, and Abhishek understood that. And Abhishek is like Saroj Mukherjee once upon a time started campaign that we want to Atto Shuddhi of CPM, the self-correction. And now Abhishek Banerjee is trying to campaign that we have to correct the fault lines. But it is true that this violence is condemnable, no doubt of it. But one point only, Dipti, I want to raise, that opposition, when Mamta was opposition, she won the election, defeating CPM in spite of that violence.
Yes.
So, when there is a public opinion, you know, violence also you cannot do extreme level if you have if you don't have the public support. If there is a public support against the regime, the BJP can go for the campaign, and Priyanka is a very brilliant spokesperson. She can give me the answer that why BJP is shy to campaign against the violence, because you have the central government in power, paramilitary force, it is in your hand, constitutionally governor and everything you can interfere. 2021 election also, you raise the issue of violence, but Mamta sweep. So I am not wearing any jersey of any political party, but I am raising this question to the opposition that don't you think that you don't have the, in UP you cannot, because UP BJP has that organizational capability. That organizational capability, the spokesperson is not responsible. But where is the state leadership to combat that? That is my question. So I am not supporting Mamata Banerjee.
Allow me to.
I think you raised interesting questions for both the BJP and the Trinamool. And before I allow both Priyanka and Mr. Dev to respond, I want to get in Shikha also with her first thoughts on this. Shikha, Jayantoda raises an interesting point. He says if there is someone provoking there is someone who benefits out of this violence. But the point is the cycle of violence, Shikha, that continues unabated for the last many, many decades. Is this something that the people of West Bengal really want? And, you know, a poll happening in the shadow of this violence, can that be really free and fair? And who, according to you today, is to be blamed?
Well, you know, I agree with Jayanto that this is a continuing occurrence in West Bengal politics. And it's peculiar that it should happen because there is no really... West Bengal is not an apolitical state where violence can replace politics as such. There is a political consciousness, and unfortunately, there is also the violence. I think the two are contradictory, but that is West Bengal as it is. Who is responsible? I think all sides are responsible because there is a provocation and there is a counterattack. And I don't think that there is one party which is instigating it. Each party is doing their bit in order to dominate the processes of nomination and then campaigning and then the election itself. The reason is because in West Bengal, the political parties seem to imagine that the turf can be sort of sliced and diced, in which one party dominates one part and one party dominates the other. It is actually probably the reason is that each party is trying to maximize their strength. And in this process of maximization, there is this violence which is occurring. Why do people continue to turn out in such large numbers? And why do they then deliver a verdict under such violence, in an environment which has violence, which has intimidation, which has domination, which is really repugnant? That is a puzzle which I have not been able to crack in my 40-odd years of journalism. Okay. Why the people in West Bengal, troubled as they are by intimidation, by violence, by the verbal violence that actually replaces political debate, is something that I cannot understand.
Okay. But the point is, Shikha and Jayanto, because both of you are very, very senior journalists, you've seen a number of these polls. Now, clearly there is a larger pattern here, and I just have the last minute or so on the debate, but I just want to give 30 seconds to all our panelists as we wrap this conversation, which is extremely important, Priyanka. Why are fingers being pointed towards the BJP? Does BJP gain by this violence?
Not at all. Nobody gains from violence, and we completely believe that, the election should be clean, free and fair. Now, I would say that the question raised by Mr. Jayanto was in regards to what happened and how Mamata won. So, sir, that was, according to political analysts, it was a blunder which Buddhadev Bhattacharya did by allowing a free and fair elections in 2011. That is why Mamata won. Otherwise, she could have never come to power, and that's a fact. If CPM would have accepted and gone with their old technique of elections, then Mamata wouldn't have ever won the elections. Now, coming to what BJP is doing, sir, we are true believers in the federal structure, and that you have witnessed. They may call us name, they may say that, they will always cry foul when it is the ED, when it is the CBI. But we have immense respect for the representation law in our countries. We have immense respect for the State Election Commission as well as the Central Election Commission. So every time we knock to the
BJP says we have nothing to do with this, Priyanka. I'm running out of time. I have to get in Biswajit Dev here also. Biswajit Devji, for how long will we see this violence? In the run-up to this election, will we see more violence? I mean, is that what Mamata Banerjee and the government is pretty okay with? You have no problems with this? You can keep on, raising fingers at the BJP, but the point is, when you look in the mirror, what do you see?
It is BJP who can answer this question. It is only BJP who can answer this question. You can see that what Ms. Tibrewal has said just now, that if CPM would have resorted to their old technique,
at one point, Mr. Dev, you say that the BJP is nothing in Bengal. You say they are a spent force. They have zero value. But on the other side, a ruling government, Trinamool, that has been ruling the state of West Bengal for the last 3 terms. You want to blame the opposition for the violence?
You can understand their mindset. You can understand their mindset.
Forget the mindset. I'm not asking about the mindset, Mr. Dev. I'm asking you, is the ruling government so helpless today that after having ruled the state of West Bengal for the last 3 terms today, you have to blame the opposition for this violence?
People were looking at Mamata Banerjee. They didn't know that she will become worse than CPM. What CPM is today.
The administration has assured.
Yes, mirror on the wall. TMC is the dirtiest of all.
It will be a free and fair vote. But
that BJP is afraid
to contest
So
the election.
only preach what
Because
you
they
practice.
know
Said
that
is,
they will
you know,
suffer
both the
humiliation.
parties today who say they
can
are
bring
fighting
in
for democracy,
central
Jayanta
force, they can
Ghoshalda
bring in the
and
army.
Shikha, because
Look
I've
at
run
this
out of
one,
time and
why are
apologies, I couldn't come back to you for the second comment. But this is a very, very important conversation in the run-up to the big West Bengal Panchayat polls and later the elections that happen, you know, the assembly elections after the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Will we see a rerun of what's happened in Bengal again and again? Who's responsible, Mr. Dev? That's a question that will be asked of you. Is the BJP the beneficiary? We haven't had clear answers yet, but I'll let our viewers decide what they think of the kind of responses that have come in so far. Only for want of time, I need to thank all of you right now. And we head into a break. On the other side, we are back with much more.